Speech Art. How to Gain Confidence and Influence People. Summary of the book: 4 Things to Become a Good Public Speaker. First, start with a strong desire. Direct your attention towards self-study, number of its benefits with diamonds, what it means to you, and think of self-confidence, and speak more persuasively in front of the audience. Think about what his speech could mean, beginning with the effect it could have on the hearts of the listeners if he likes his speech. Achieve what he can achieve through it, including what suits him. Second, I know exactly what you're going to talk about. A person cannot feel comfortable when confronting his listeners except after he has thought carefully and planned his speech and knows what he is going to say, because if he does not do that, it will be like the blind leading the blind in such cases. 3. Acted with the confidence of one of the most famous psychologists America has ever produced. Professor William James follows that action seems to follow feeling, and in fact, action and feeling go together, and by modifying action, which is more within the control of the will, we can modify feeling indirectly, thus, the voluntary passage to joy. If our automatic joy is to speak as if we are already happy, if this behavior cannot make us feel joy, then nothing can make us so. Then, in order to feel brave, act as if you are brave, use all your will for this, and it is likely that the wave of courage will replace the wave of fear. Stand up straight and look into the eyes of the audience. Don't nervously fiddle with your coat buttons, play your rosary, or wring your hands. 4th, practice, practice, practice. The last point we make here is very important, as you may have forgotten everything you have read so far. But remember this: the first and last effective way to generate self-confidence in public speaking is to stand up and speak and boil it all down with a key word. It is training without which you will not achieve anything. Do you want to get rid of the fear of the public to see what are its causes? Professor Robinson says in his book The Industry of the Mind that fear is the result of ignorance and uncertainty. In other words, it is the result of a lack of self-confidence. So what causes this? It is the result of not knowing what you really want, not knowing what it is you want. It's not about inexperience. When you have a proven track record, his fears melt away like the mists of the night under the sun's glare. The second chapter is the art of preparing a speech. First, the correct preparation. Did you read the preparation book? This is kind of not the best kind. If someone tries to take the ideas of a book and want them as they are, his sermon will come out weak and incomplete. Tell what you personally think, not what someone else said. Why not read the writing a second time and ask whether you agree with the author or not? Provide it with notes from your own experience. Secondly, preparation means thinking. Embrace your study, embrace it until it's ripe. Through it you get a whole lot of successful ideas. Write down all the material ideas that come to your mind. Dr. persevered. All your ideas with a few words are enough to confirm the idea. Let your mind search for more of it, and be interested in it, and keep looking and thinking about it. Thinking is the means that drives the mind to grow, to become a real productive force. One of the most famous speeches of former U.S. President Abraham Lincoln was the one declaring his personal vision. A house divided against itself cannot rise. Third, how do you determine the topic of the sermon? Define your topic in advance so you have time to think about it over and over. Think about it for 7 days, one for 7 nights, and make it the subject of your speech. Do not diverge, and choose only one corner of your specialization. You have rich material on this topic. Do not throw yourself deep into the ocean of information, so it is difficult for you to choose and coordinate the material. Choose the most exciting topic in your world, human nature, for example, if you talk about the technical side of your business. perhaps your speech will not interest others. Do not make your speech an abstract sermon, for that would be boring. Come to your speech like a cake decorated with examples and general phrases, sugared with real cases which you have seen, and with the main facts which you think represent those cases. As you prepare, study your audience, considering their needs and wants. Fourth secret power reserve. Collect hundreds of ideas, select the best idea or two from them, and keep the rest to be a strategic stock for you in the future. Prepare the audience with an abundance of ideas and good distinction between the best ones. Summary of the third chapter: How did the most famous preachers come? Their engagement? Herbert Spencer says, when a person obtains more knowledge and does not coordinate it, the more confused his thoughts become. No man at least starts building a house without drawing a map, no. But why does he start delivering his speech without any kind of preparation or planning? Discourse is a journey with a purpose, and it should be privileged, and the human being, which begins indefinitely, usually ends as well. And now Cavanche, the most famous men of their speech. Senator wrote a very short and exciting book, entitled The Art of Public Speaking. This prominent politician said that the orator must be the master of his subject, and this means that you collect facts, coordinate them, study them and understand them, not from one side, but from all aspects, and it must also be ensured that they are facts and not just assumptions or assertions unproven. Having collected and organized facts of any topic, think about the solution that these realities require, and your speech will gain freshness and strength, or it will be lively and effective after permission. Write your thoughts as clearly and logically as possible. Public speaking students have found it useful to record their speeches on a tape recorder and then listen to themselves. Is this helpful? Yes, sometimes amazing and wonderful. It is a training in itself. I like this kind of training. This training in writing what you are going to say forces you to think, clarifies your thoughts, connects them in your memory, reduces your wandering to a minimum, and also finishes your speaking style. Summary of Chapter 4: Improving Memory. The famous psychologist Professor Carlos Shore said that the average man does not use more than 10% of his actual memory capacity. It spends the other 90% by violating the natural laws of memory. The natural laws of memory: impression. Get a deep, fast, solid impression of the thing you want to remember. An hour of intense reflection, wrote Henry Ward Beecher, does more than several years of dreamy repetition. Psychological experiments have repeatedly shown that the new material we learn is forgotten within the first 8 hours. More than we forget over the next 30 days, it's an amazing percentage. So, before you go to a business meeting, review your knowledge before giving the speech, get drunk with the facts you have, and fill your memory with activity. The association of ideas, our mind, is essentially the association of ideas. The best way to memorize dates is to link them to important dates that have already been fixed in the mind. It is useful to remember this principle when choosing a phone number. For example, the hospital phone number was 1948, and no one will have any difficulty remembering it. If you can get numbers from the phone company that represent important dates in history, your friends will not ask for your number. Chapter 5: Essential Elements of Successful Speech. The Necessity of Perseverance. Success Decision. One day a young man intending to study law wrote to Abraham Lincoln, asking for his advice, and Lincoln replied that if you decide to become a lawyer, you will have done half the work. Chapter 6: The Secret of Good Diction. It depends not so much on what you say, as on how you deliver it. Once again, said Lord Morley, cheerfully, let us travel. There are 3 important things in a speech. Who throws it? How does he cast it? And what he says, and the least important of these three adjectives is the last. A preacher wrote very excellent speeches in terms of logic, wisdom, and composition, yet he was failing to deliver them to the audience, as he did not have the ability to deliver his precious treasures and show them in a decent manner. Tips for good speech. First, if you are preaching in front of people, you won't win their approval unless you speak in a natural way. Sincerity, enthusiasm, and charity will also help you. When a person is under the influence of his feelings, his true self emerges and the bars are removed from it, as the intensity of his emotions penetrates all barriers. And so on. In the end, the topic of recitation comes back to the thing we stressed at the beginning. Put your heart into your speech. Secondly, stress important words, lower unimportant ones. Third, change the layers of your voice. Fourth, change the speed of your voice. Fifth, stop before and after important ideas. Chapter 7: The Pulpit Presence and Personality. This is the result of a Carnegie Endowment of Technology study of 100 prominent businessmen. Personality, aside from preparation, is perhaps the most important factor in a speech. Don't make the common mistake of leaving preparation and planning to the last minute, and then working at breakneck speed, trying to make up for it. Wasted time. If you do, you will store physical toxins and mental exhaustion that will turn into a terrible burden, tan and secure its weight, absorbing your vitality and weakening your mind and nerves. What is the effect of clothes on the preacher and the listener? What is its effect on the listener? What is the role of a bright smile? But I have seen advanced orators who are presented in a cold and sullen manner, as if they had to do a troublesome task. F.A. breathed a sigh of relief after finishing. We also feel like it. These methods reflect on the public. Chapter 8: How do you open the letter? Start with exciting introductions. It's something that grabs your attention right away. First, use a short introduction like a billboard. Second, beware that it opens with a so-called hilarious story. Third fatal mistake, to start apologizing. Fourth, use the language of curiosity to attract attention. Fifth, ask a sixth question. Relate your topic to the vital interests of your listeners. Chapter 9: How do you conclude the speech? There, the orator who says everything he has to say, but doesn't know how to conclude his speech. I think it was Josh Billing who advised people to catch the bull by the tail instead of the horns. Famous orators such as Bess Tyro Bright and Aglet Sun, despite their extensive knowledge of the English language, felt it necessary to write down and memorize the appropriate words for their conclusion. Chapter 10: How to make what they mean clear. Avoid technical expressions. Use general examples and specific facts that do not rival mountain goats. Chapter 11: How do you interest your audience? People may get tired if you talk about things and ideas, but you seldom fail to catch their attention when you talk about people, all objectively suggestive words. Chapter 12: How do you improve your style? Simply reading the text a lot. Charles James Fax read Shakespeare's writings aloud to improve his style. The Gladstone Library, SM. Abd al-Salam, where he kept 15,000 books, but helped him read the works of St. Augustine by Chobad Lyra, Dante, and Homer.